But first, to worrying data today showing that less than 1 in 4 Australians feel a strong connection to Anzac Day. Even more worrying is the fact that only 1 in 6 members of Generation Z would sign up to defend Australia if we were attacked. The News Corp polling also revealed among all age groups, 57% say Australia should be spending more on defence, on the military, but only 1 in 3 would be willing to take part in the defence of the country. Joining me now for more on this is Sky News contributor Gary Hardgrave. Gary, is it any wonder that only 1 in 6 young Australians, Gen Z, would fight to defend this country when they've been fed this toxic diet of lies, painting Australia as racist, as illegitimate, as a country that's built on genocide and stolen land?
Yeah, exactly right, Rita. And we've just got to get that pride back in the business of Australia because, frankly, if we aren't prepared to defend it, we have to be prepared to lose it. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. It's not just one-liners that are thrown around this time of year, every year. Anzac Day does stand for a generation of people, generations of people who've been prepared to stand in Australia's name to defend a principle. Were we under threat on every war that we've gone to? Well, not directly. Second World War, maybe yes. Maybe the threat that was occurring in the 60s was real as well. But in all seriousness, this was about the ideals, the principles of our country. And if we're not actually encouraging kids to embrace that, the freedom we've got, we're well on our way. We're well on our way to lose it. So this is frightening stuff, but it is reaping what we have allowed to be sowed. Not what I've sowed, not what you've sowed, but what they've allowed to sow. And so, Rita, my line is still the same. We can save Australia one family at a time. I'll look after mine, you look after yours. Let's build a community. Let's build a strength back into Australia.
Well said. Let's turn our attention now to the Prime Minister's preferencing scandal. He's opted to put the Greens candidate, Hannah Thomas, as number 2 on his How to Vote card. This is a character, this Hannah Thomas, that has previously claimed that Israel is guilty of genocide, has demanded the Prime Minister blacklist the only Jewish state and expel its ambassador from Australia. She held up signs like this. Let's have a look at pro-Palestinian rallies. But if you ask the PM, Gary, he seems to think that preferences don't really matter. This is what he had to say last year.
I don't accept preferences. People go into polling booths and put numbers next to names. So the preference allocation, of course, will be done by the organisational wing.
Gary, if preferences are unimportant, then why not run an open ticket in every seat, particularly his seat?
You know what, Rita? I think the simplest thing is to go to first past the post voting like they do in the UK, like they do in the US. So we don't even have to worry about all this preference rubbish. But look, the Prime Minister's technically correct. People can make their own choices. The party organisations, they offer recommendations. But look, in the end, it's down to principle. I mean, you want to talk about principles. You've got a Prime Minister that stands for nothing at all. He is actually sitting idly by while people are pulling Australia apart, people within our midst, some of them who are egged on by international activists who are actually right now in Australia and whipping up crowds and organising people. This sort of stuff is just elementary. We are fragile as a community because this bloke is so fragile in his attendance to the proper principles that have always kept Australia safe. The guy's an idiot. And I hate saying that because he's the Prime Minister. I should respect him. But no, he's lying constantly. And it's like Labor lies, we pay is kind of really what their slogan should have been this particular election. Well,
he is inept, but looks like he's going to be winning 2 elections at least for Labor. And you really have to look at the Liberals campaign and wonder what they're thinking here. We're talking about a first-term government, and they have just seemed to have run a softly approach to this campaign. If you want Australians to throw out a first-term government, you need to go hard. You need to go negative. You need to make it absolutely clear, Gary, what is going wrong in this country and how you're going to fix it. And I just don't think we're getting that yet from the Dutton opposition, and the polls have opened for early voting. Time is running out.
Yeah, it is. It's running out. Sands are going through the hourglass. Look, Rita, simple point is that not all the votes are in, so therefore the result's not certain, but the indicators are not good. But most of the people doing the complaining are those who actually want to vote for Peter Dutton, but they want him to mount a case. They want him to be strong. They actually want him to provide something that's not just like that bloke but blue. They actually want him to promote something that's rigorous, that's in Australia's favour. Peter is starting to do that, but you're right, time is running out and time shall tell.
Now, polling analysis in the Australian newspaper today shows that the coalition has lost significant ground in a key voter group since the start of the year. Among female voters, the coalition was sitting at 51.49% over Labor in January. They were so much for having a women's problem. They were in the lead, but now they're trailing Labor in that key demographic, 46 to 54%. Gary, is this largely due to their failure to really explain their work from home scheme and how that was going to be impacting the public service? What other issues do you see contributing to this turnaround?
You know, I just think this whole kind of Tim Walsh go soft kind of don't be a blokey bloke, get rid of toxic masculinity stuff, that kind of stuff that we saw in America 6 months ago, I think is happening here. I think it's like, oh, you know, we don't want to upset women. Hang on. It's not about upsetting women. This is about providing some strength that women will gravitate towards. You've got a Prime Minister that walks around with a poodle in the middle of a park and thinks that is campaigning on Good Friday. We need to have some guts. People actually want to see guts. And I think that you don't have to be belligerent. You don't have to be, you know, brutal. You don't have to be toxic, but you've got to be strong. And I think a lot of women call this out faster than blokes. I think women are less forgiving about blokes they don't think are real. And I think that's the problem. Peter has got to show the real Peter Dutton. And sadly, the campaign people running this campaign haven't allowed him to do that, from what I can see.
No, they haven't allowed him to do that. And what matters most, I think, regardless if you're male, female, left, right, wherever you are a swing voter, you want to see authenticity. You want to see the real person. And I think that's what's been lacking at this election campaign. I don't think people have really got to know Peter Dutton. They've got this caricature that Labor and the Greens have pushed, and that seems to be the dominant point of view of the man. Now let's have a look at how that has been created. We're going to look at some election campaign material that's on social media. We're going to start with Monique Ryan. She's obviously isn't comfortable taking questions from journalists like our own Laura Jays. But she's more than happy to participate in whatever this is.
Can I sing for you, please?
Of course.
I am strong, strong. I am invincible, invincible. I am woman. Okay, thank you, that's all.
Authorised by A. Mishra Mulvin.
That's from the Youth for Mon group. And let's see what the Greens have been up to. Here's their candidate for Cooper, Tara Burnett, a transgender woman and public school teacher.
Got to say, the highlight was a fella showing up in a T-shirt depicting the performer who brought out the Palestinian and Sudanese flags during Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl performance, taking a green flyer.
What can you say about that? And let's have a look at this ad from Labor. The scaremongering is reaching new highs.
Authorised by SDACOS, Australian Labor Party, Docklands.
Gary, this characterisation of Peter Dutton as some scary ogre who is just wanting to slash Medicare and put women back in the kitchen, it is so obtuse, but it seems to be working.
In the absence of a counter-argument, the counter-argument's got to be, are you better off than you were 3 years ago? If you're not, you can't vote for Albo. And look, people are seeing a frustration amongst, as I say, amongst normally Liberal voters. They want a king hit and a knockout punch now, but we've still got a few rounds to go. Look, there's no other way of putting this. The campaign that they have run has been lacking the lustre that people wanted. All they wanted was someone to say, you know what, we're going this way, and they would have actually followed him. They just would have followed him, and we just haven't had the strength and the simplicity in that messaging. But the reality is, it's Labor tax you pay is really the counterpoint. They are going to increase taxes. They are going to make it harder for people to survive the cost of living increases that are coming, including electricity prices going up again, all off the back of keeping billionaires really happy. There are so many great messages. You know, if I was back in the trenches, I'd be doing it. But all I can say is that I would have expected stronger, clearer, straightforward messages, a call to arms, you know, a call to action. And I've yet to see it.
No, and even on the one policy area where there seems to be a bit of differentiation between the two parties, though the coalition's plan is more of a long-term one, we're not hearing much about their nuclear plan. In fact, you rarely hear them push that policy and say this is a solution long-term for the country. You don't hear them make those arguments about how renewables have pushed up prices and made some very rich people even richer. Where are those arguments? Because that actually would speak to the electorate. Energy prices are a top issue and it impacts everybody.
Well, I think we're going to get $275 off our power bill. And I don't know about you, but I get a power bill every quarter. So I was counting on getting something akin to $1,100 or $1,200 off my power over the course of the year. It's gone up that. So we have been lied to. Nuclear is part of the mix in 19 out of the 20 developed countries in the world. Guess what? We're number 20 without nuclear. There's a lot of reasons why nuclear should be considered. The $600 billion cost is just a made-up figure, and Labor knows that. They're all starting to walk away from that. But, you know, in the end, it's hard to promote revolutionary policies from opposition. I get it. But they brought the argument up. They could have had the conversation, established the problem. Come up, if you've got the solution, you've got to establish the problem first. People don't like Albo. People are resenting the fact that they may vote for him ahead of Peter Dutton, and they'll be angrier at the Liberal Party than they will be at the Labor Party. You want to talk about lefties losing it? Rita, right now, the lefties in the Liberal Party are losing it right now. And that, I think, is your segment for next week. Lefties losing it is the Liberal lefties losing it.
They're causing so much damage. There's not many of them left, but that small group are continuing to frustrate efforts to actually appeal to those vital outer suburbs and regional areas. Gary Hardgrave, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thanks, Rita.